Hello friends, welcome back. We'll be discussing about today on information system acquisition, development and implementation, which is domain 3 of CISA, and this is video 9. I'm Anand here and I'll be taking you through this. So friends, as we have discussed about all the software methodologies in video number 8, in video number 9 we'll talk about IS auditors roles in hardware acquisition, because that's also one of the key factors when you're taking an information systems. You need to just not have the software developed, you have to have the environment created out there, and we'll be seeing this more when we talk about the implementation and how it becomes very important. So the role here as an IS auditor which we need to play is, first and foremost, we need to understand whether they have followed the acquisition process of that organization. So which means, first and foremost, I need to know what is the process which is there for this organization, how this organization does their evaluation of vendors, how do they do this, and if there is a hardware which is being acquired, is there a process of validating it? That's very important. Like say for example, I buy some 10 machines, okay, 10 hardwares and servers. What's inside that? Is it actually octa-core? Is it, how many cores are there? What kind of environment is there? I need to have a clear understanding of that. So when I'm performing this audit, I should know what is the acquisition process begin. How does it happen? It is like business case. Based on the business case, there is a kind of feasibility study. Based on that, they are developing the system, and based on that system, whatever the requirement are there for the specification, it can be like, I would like to have this kind of machines or that kind of machines. All of that thing has to be looked into. Second, I need to also see that how many vendors were considered. It should not happen there is some favoritism or anything as such, and I'm not going for the best solution. The interest or the main objective of the IS auditor is very simple. He would like to have the best for the organization, which means there is the whole process of price discovery mechanism as well as seeing the features. I need to ask questions whether the comparison was done properly, whether all the criteria were checked before the acquisition was done. Also, I need to also see that has someone independently verified the environment which has been purchased or whatever the machines which has been purchased, because there has been a lot of issues which has come in long, where instead of giving a core to duo, people have given dual core. Okay, that kind of things which happen have machines long back it used to happen. So it becomes very important that in hardware acquisitions the IS auditors play his role perfectly, which is nothing but to make sure that the process has begun properly as per the business need. There's a business case for buying that hardware, because you need to understand in the IT field, the average life of an assets or a machine, especially hardwares, are around 2 years, 2.5 years. So if you are buying something wrong, you are actually going to write it off in 2 years. It's actually a loss to the organization. So I need to get the best out of for this for my organization in terms of how would I like to do that, and also the comparison and all the documentation with relating to that has to be maintained properly. Next we go that there is also a business process reengineering. Remember, there was a kind of a process of automation. Now what is an automation? So let me explain to you the difference between system development and automation. Many a time, and especially in the early days of system development, what used to happen was people used to say, okay, this is the process and this is how we would put it in the same process we'll put it in IT. So let's say I'll give you an example. If you have heard about Indian Railway, when they went for what we call it as automation or digitization of the ticket system, which means you can get an e-ticket and based on that you can travel. Initially, they used to insist that you have to take a printout of a paper ticket. Now, it basically means what? You have a ticket, but it is not a ticket till you take a printout. So there is no digitization. You are still in the paper-based mode. And then people started asking question. If I have my PNR number or any specific unique identification number, why can't I travel based on that? You just want to make sure my identity is the same person. I'm the same passenger who I'm doing it. And that led to people change the process, and today you don't require to carry a paper ticket in Indian Railway, right? Now this process is called, basically what we call is, before you set up a new system, we always ask for BPR, business process reengineering, and that is a very important process. See, You need to understand no one likes change. And when you are doing a change, you should try to get it as much correct as the first time, because there are going to be iteration, there are going to be challenges, there are going to be things which will not work in the same manner. But whenever we are doing it, we should have a clear understanding in terms of how we would like to make sure that works. So the BPR effort we need to look at. And what is a BPR is nothing but it's a radical redesign of the business process. I'm using the word radical redesign. Why radical? Because it should actually change the whole process by 60 to 70%. Then only we can call it as a real, you know, radical redesign has happened. So when you are reviewing the organization BPR effort, the IS auditor must determine whether first, is the change effort, whatever you are trying to do, is it in, consistent with the overall culture or the strategic plan of the organization? Means whatever the culture, whatever the strategic plan of the organization, is it matching out there? Whatever we are trying to work out as a new process, it should not be something very very different. Okay, a new process can be in any of the area, like procure to pay cycle, P2P we call it, O2C, order to cash. It can change, no problem, but it should be in line with the overall culture and the strategic plan of the organization. And I hope you have seen in module 1, module 2, always we ask for one thing: business objective is paramount. Always remember, we always try to serve the business objective. The IT objective are basically a subset of the business objective, so that is the reason we need to understand that. The second one is, when you are doing a re-engineering or business process re-engineering, we need to minimize the negative effect. There are going to be some negative impact because people don't like change. People may not having proper training to do the things in proper way. There can be some issues here and there, and it always happens in any organization. When there are changes which happens, there are going to be issues which we need to look into. We have to work it up, and that is something which we need to be careful about. So those things we need to ensure that any negative impact of the change which may happen on the organization staff. And when I'm saying organization staff, friends, one of the key thing is that the impact of any business process reengineering is going to be on people, because those are the people who are on the ground doing it. So it is possible their job roles may change. It is possible some of them may become redundant. It is either way which is there. So we have to see how we can best work out with that. It's not like the objective of BPR is not to do this, but this is one of the kind of other impact which happen just when you're doing a BPR exercise. And also we need to document the lesson learned. In the BPR team has to do that, and that is something which, as an IS auditor, I need to question them, I need to challenge them. It's like more of a challenge and response. You challenge them with some questions, they give a response, you document it up. But before that, you try to understand all the things, how they did it, whether they consider all factors, whether there was a proper 60-70% radical redesign has happened or not, or it was just a cosmetic redesign. All of that things has to be looked into by the IS auditor in the business process reengineering thing. Okay, coming to the last slide of this video, this is one of the very interesting things. There are some system development tools. Now you remember around 10 years back or 15 years back, there was a big demand for we used to have a kind of DTP professional, desktop publishing. Nowadays they are not in so much of demand. What has happened is, we have something we call as case tools, and this is nowadays also called as no code and low code tools. I repeat, it's called low code and no code tool. So this low code and no code tools are basically make life very easy. You don't require to have a lot of people developing it up, because the machines can do the development for us. Let's say I'll give you an example, simple example. If you have gone on Excel and recorded a macro, what you would notice, one very interesting thing is, in macros, this is like you will do the recording of macros, and on the back end, the programming will be done in Visual Basic. Or if you have seen some of the RPA tools, robotic process automation, you just record that setups and the coding, what has to be done, how it has to be done. It is done by them. So this is very interesting. These are called case tools, which basically does is nothing but automate the whole software development process. So we need to understand the changes which has happened because of case tool, and how the case tool has been used, because there are going to be new challenges out of that. So when I say new challenges, if you have put your some user ID and password in that, that has to be looked into, change and all the thing, and we have to manage it up from that perspective. So those things has to be managed. Then we have code generators, which is nothing but the tools that generates, all the program codes based on the parameters which is defined. So you can define it up. It's basically like an add-on to the what we call keys, products, and all thing. And we should know how the source code has been generated, because source code is one very important thing, and it's actually something which need to be protected properly. And also we have now the fourth generation and fifth generation languages which has come now, which is much easier. Things like Python, R, all of the things which is used extensively in data science and other things has to be basically managed and looked into that. Okay, so what we have to see is we need to understand clearly that whenever we are actually working on this, there are different tools nowadays. There are new tools which is coming to that, and especially I told you about low code and no code, and all these tools can actually help it out. So in this video, friends, we talked about what is the role of IS auditors in business process reengineering, what are the things he should look into, what are the things he should be actually focusing on, hardware acquisitions, and we also talked about some of the system development tools which are used by them. And this system development tools are basically meant for two things: better coding, and I would say accelerated development, and ensuring that we reduce the dependency on humans and automate the whole process, because ultimately automation is the key. So this is all in video number 9, friends. I'll see you next in video 10, where we'll talk about some more in the same domain.